Hello and welcome to Bloke on the Range. I'm here in the workshop of The Chap, who bears an uncanny resemblance to a certain Frenchman who may have been present in a previous video. Now what The Chap has been working on is recreating the old Smith Wesson self-lubricating bullet. Now what is this self-lubricating bullet of which we speak? Well, back in the old black powder days, Smith & Wesson invented a self-lubricating bullet where the lubricant, instead of being contained within grooves, was contained within a chamber in the middle of the bullet. Now what we had here was a cup, sort of sleeve tube with a cupped end, some ports leading from the end of the tube to the front of the bullet, to the ogive, and a little lead pusher. There. Now what would happen on firing, the powder gas would push this plunger down, splooge the lubricant out of the holes, like that. Clever stuff. Now here's a nice sectioned example of a real one. Lubricant coloured in red there, lead plunger. This one has a steel sleeve, ports, powder. Now what was the point of all this? Well, we're kind of spoilt in modern life with nitro powders, smokeless powders. They don't really need a lot of lube, and all sorts of things work well as lubes. So these days, just having a small lube groove or tumble lubing with Lee Liquid Alox or a similar product, that works wonders. But with black powder, the general rule is you can't go wrong with more lube. I was going to make some stupid joke about that, but it's too obvious. Now the problem with a conventional lube groove with black powder is that you're rather limited in the amount of lube you can use, and it normally ends up being a bit hard. Because the problem is that if you take a fairly soft lube that's optimized fine for, say, Alaska, take it down to Texas, it's going to melt out the grooves, get out the cartridge, end up in the powder, contaminating the powder. It's useless. And if you take something that's good for the Arizona summer, take it up to Alaska, it's going to be rock solid and have zero lubricating properties. So it's always a bit of a grubby compromise. Now what the Smith & Wesson self-lubricating bullet allows you to do is to retain the lube in the bullet better and to use a much softer lube than you can in lube grooves without any fear of it leaking out and getting places it shouldn't. So why are we doing this? Because reasons. Because we can. Because we want to. Because we want to see if it works as advertised. It has no practical use these days because fundamentally you're only going to be shooting black powder cartridges on the range really, so if you need more lube you can always just squirt it into the cylinders or dip the bullet before loading it. It's not really an issue anymore, and plus we have access to much better black powder lubes and bullets with much larger lube grooves if you want to cast your own. Now the original information comes from a couple of patents registered in the name of Dan Wesson, as in the original Dan Wesson, and I'll put links to these patents in the description below. So what the chap has been working on is converting these commercial cast bullets to the old Smith & Wesson pattern. So what the chap has done here is he's taken the original nitro wax lube out of the grooves, he's drilled the lube exit ports, he's drilled a main chamber. The next thing we do is we insert a bit of brass rod with the end, what's the technical term for that? Castellated.
Castellated?
Yeah, castellated end, which we'll show you in a minute. Then we fill it full of lube, petroleum based of course, and then we top it off with a plunger made of brass rod. For anyone who's wondering, the grease is OK, Universal Fait, Graisse Universelle. It's a lithium soap in mineral oil, which according to internet and gunwriter folklore should cause horrible things to happen whenever it goes near black powder, which is not true.
Step one is drilling a hole as in the middle as I can in the base of the bullet as a guide for the central reservoir. So bear with me. Alright, we'll complete that once the small grease holes are drilled. That is a little bit easier. I've got this wonderful homemade tool I'm going to use. There's a 4mm hole there to finish drilling off the central chamber, and then there's this little 2 holes here which I'm going to use as guides for the transverse grooves. I've got a couple of washers in there so that it comes up to the right height, so it comes just above the beginning of the ogive there. Alright, now this is slightly bigger than the bullet, so I've got a little cardboard sleeve to hold it centered as much as possible. So that fits in there nice and snug. And now change drill bit. This is 1.5mm diameter drill bit, and you have to go fairly carefully because the lead is sticky and you can snap the drill bits quite easily. So it helps to do it manually because then you can feel the resistance. Now, and then you do the other side. Now they should meet up. I can see light through the other side. Okay. Now I need a depth stop, so that I complete the main chamber down to the cross holes. So I've got a 1mm drill bit, which I'm just sticking through there. Now I'll just chuck it up and complete it on the pillar drill. Should do it. Okay, let's pull this out. Work it through. So let's now drill to the depth of the holes. Now I need to drill the perpendicular channel. Practical thing is it gets so hot the lube melts off the bullet. So
convenient. No need to put them in the oven to melt it off.
That's it. So now I've got to put this 90 degrees. Oops. Ninety degrees to the previous hole channel, more or less.
Close enough for government work.
Exactly. There we go. Right. Same procedure again. There we go. Just poke it out. There's our 4 channels. They're a bit wonky, but it'll do. And then you give the main chamber one more quick drill out so that
get rid of all the swarf.
It gets rid of the swarf and it just deepens it a little bit so that you're sure that the channels are really, cross channels are really clear. So I just make sure I can see daylight through all the holes, and that's the hardest bit done. Let's do it a little bit make sure they're clear just by hand.
Now, this is all really a bit of a faff, and the originals, I reckon that they had a special swaging die, and they inserted the little cup and swaged it in one go.
Yeah, indeed, that's what the Smith Wesson patent specifies. Right, next is the brass liner. Now this is just a 4mm brass tube. What I've done is with the hobby best friend, Mr. Dremel, cut these crenellations in the top, and they will hopefully line up with the crossroads down at the bottom of this chamber here. So just put it in. You've got to have lots of light to do this because you've got to make sure everything lines up. That's about lined up, so I'm just giving it a quick tap in. I'm just checking again always that the 4 holes are clear. And now I just need to trim this off. Okay, so it's just short of flush, and at the end I'll just give it a firm kick up the arse, and there we go. Next bit is just giving it a painless injection.
Till it splooges out the holes.
Whoop. Yeah. Now we're going to put a little plunger in. Again, the Dan Wesson patent says that it's not necessary to put the piston in if one is going to use the bullet straight away, but upon reflection, if you don't, you're going to get a horrendous amount of gas cutting from the propellant.
You're basically, if you don't put the plunger in, the gas is going to go all the way through, taking a bunch of atomized lead with it and depositing it on your barrel. Not fun. Now there's the plunger there. It's almost disguised as swarf on this mat. Now in the originals the plungers were lead, but it's much easier for us to work with brass.
So the last stage is putting the plunger in. And we just there we go. And there's the finished article. We'll clean it up a bit and then we'll show you how it works. Okay, so there she is, all pretty, ready for a demo. Right, so simulating gas pressure here. Here we have our gas coming in, and then we fire, and that happens.
Well, hey, little worms of lube.
Yeah.
Cool. And certainly more lube than you could possibly fit in a standard groove of the era.
Yep. Right, so the plan is now make 12 of these, load them up, and shoot them and see what happens.
And in case anyone's wondering what we're going to be firing it in, this. So here they are, 44 Russians with the self-lubing bullets, 15 grains of Swiss No. 2 and nothing else. So let's see how they perform. Now we're not expecting great feats of accuracy from these because they were not drilled on a lathe, so their concentricity is not exactly guaranteed. So we're at about 25 meters here. We'll see what they can do. The chap is of course a full gentleman. So, what does it look like? Let's see if we can. That looks fine. That looks like not far off, right? Now, as predicted, at 25 meters, the accuracy was pathetic. So let's try it again at 10 and see if we can catch some of these things. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we are on there. Now hopefully we'll have caught one and we can find out. Yes, we've caught them. Excellent. Right, let's dig them out and see if they worked as advertised.
Autopsy time.
Yeah. Autopsy. Dr. Chap. Your scalpel.
Right, away to go. Let's see where they are. Oh, look at that. Fancy that.
Did we make it through the black powder handbook? Oh, I think we might.
There's one.
There's one. And it did it. It worked. The plunger is in.
There's another.
Yep. Yep.
Oh, there might be another one down here. Hang on, I haven't finished yet.
Whoa.
There's another.
Yep. Oh, that one's lost its bushing. Actually, so had that one.
Oh, that one's still in there.
And that one's still got its bushing. Cool. Well, that doesn't look too bad for 12 rounds of black. So let's clean it up, stick 12 rounds of conventionally lubed ammo down there and see if we notice any major difference. First two patches out after some 50-50 ballastol water moose milk. That's really not that filthy at all. And for those wondering what the revolver is, it's a Uberti made Smith Wesson Russian model. Your ammunition, sir.
Thank you very much.
Now these are conventionally lubed.
Yeah.
Same load, 15 grains of number 2.
The red is just for me to differentiate between the two. Right.
Right, crack on. Oh, I'm being eaten alive by mosquitoes.
It's the price of fame. No, we're done.
You sure? No, you got one more.
My mistake.
I thought you'd have been able to count to 6, given that it's the number of fingers you've got on each hand.
Yeah, but they're webbed.
Yeah, that does make it more confusing, doesn't it?
There we are.
Right,
Now,
let's have a look. Actually, at 10 metres the accuracy is about the same, shooting one-handed reasonably rapidly.
yeah.
But at 25 you just didn't make contact at all. Oh well. Now that actually looks worse. So the chap used his special mixture of duck fat and beeswax 50-50, but he did point out that these bullets have lube grooves intended for nitro. So in fact the self-lubing bullets have about 3 times as much lube that's far softer in them. So yeah, it works. Brilliant. Oh, we're seeing the difference even here just with the first brush through. There's all sorts of coke and nastiness coming out of it. Yeah, that's pretty nasty. So it works. Hope you enjoyed the video. Like and subscribe, like our Facebook page, and see you again on the range sometime. Bye. He's used his standard lube mix of, what is it, Venezuelan beaver cheese and man fat.
Yeah, but not mine.